What time is kickball?
I don't know.
House show.
COVID was pretty bad, huh?
I forgot it's been recording.
We're on. So I guess the first question is just to set it up. When did you start making music and really getting into it?
I started making music over 10 years ago, technically.
Oh,
Wow.
I started when I was 16. My brother used to rap locally and just wanted to be like him. So I used to be his hype man. Then I started recording myself. I just learned, found my own sound.
what is being a hype man? Like, what did you do for him when he was performing?
Well, my job was to know his lyrics and then just, like finish like the ends of his phrases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh, so I've seen people do that up on stage.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It doesn't happen as much now, I would say, because everyone just kind of raps over their lyrics, which sounds shitty, but that's just what people do now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was also reading that you would open up for local like Providence rappers. At what age did you transition from like being a hype man to like doing your own opening sets?
Sheesh. I would say maybe 17, 18. Definitely when I went to college at 18.
Yeah.
I got to throw my own shows and stuff, like locally on campus. But yeah, I'd say around that.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you build up a fan base within college or was it outside of that?
So I built a fan base first locally back in Rhode Island, just from doing a bunch of shows. And I mean, the hardest part at first is getting your friends to like your shit because,
Yeah.
they didn't like my music at first.
Damn.
But I wasn't good, but they saw I had passion. So a lot of them would show up to my shows anyway. And so I did that first. And then when I got to college, I just like started meeting everyone who made music on campus, just trying my best to meet people.
Okay.
And get around, trying to like perform during like fashion shows on campus and poetry nights and whatever I could do. And then eventually getting in contact with like the student org on my campus. But like, I think I've never been good with establishment things. I don't know, like I always had a hard time with like the student orgs on campus. So I just would throw my own shows.
Yeah. Was there like I guess there's probably a certain amount of freedom that comes with throwing your own shows. Like you can invite whoever you want. You can have anybody come open for you or open for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I would say a lot of things just in my career came out of necessity up to this point. Is like I learned how to throw my own shows because I was having a hard time on campus getting them to be in with the cool student org for music. I learned Photoshop when I didn't have designers. I learned videography when I didn't have people. It's just when you're grinding, it's just like you pick up all these random skills.
Yeah. I feel like, did that help kind of mold you into what you are now? Because I feel like if you learn how to do it all on your own, you kind of have the ability to do basically anything you want, which is dope. So now we saw like on your YouTube, you make vlogs and everything, and the music videos are super cool. So it's kind of cool to see you've built your own kind of thing now.
It's a gift and a curse because it's definitely dope to have all those skills. And granted, I'm not the best at any of them. It helps me communicate things to videographers or photographers or whatever, because I know a little bit of the language. So it's good on that front. The only downside is that if you're always doing that, you don't learn how to delegate to other people.
Okay, yeah.
So then it becomes a slower process when over time it should get easier because you're bringing more people on. Yeah. Which I had to learn that too.
So would you say like the collaboration behind either like music or like graphics and other stuff, would you say that came like later in your career?
Yeah, definitely. Early in college, a girl I was dating at the time introduced me a guy from her college. And he wanted to do graphic design. He did graphic design, had like a t-shirt brand he was starting and stuff. And me and him clicked. So he helped out with a lot of early graphics and stuff like that. And one by one, I just started meeting random people who did certain things.
Yeah.
So do you feel like when you meet someone that you've worked with, do you keep working with them? Because I saw like a lot of production on a lot of your music is like Mike Irish, and I think the other one was Ledge.
Tail, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you just like to stick with them, have a click, and then be able to do that?
Excuse me. Yeah, I generally like to work with people I'm familiar with. I think one, it helps develop a sound. If I'm just working with producers that everyone else is working with, it's like I'm getting what everyone else is getting, as opposed to us getting better together and creating something new just off the fact that we always work with each other. Yeah, I think that's generally how I like to work. Once I'm in with someone, I'm in. I do like to work with new people now lately, but it's just a different process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, because I saw that you had an Aaron Taus feature, who I'm a big fan of, and you've been featured on some of his albums. I guess because that's a non-rap artist, I was wondering did you hear a song and were instantly like, oh, I could work with this guy? Or was it like a building relationship where you knew each other and then eventually started making music?
Oh, sorry. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm yawning. But I actually just I came out during his set in LA over the weekend, did a verse during one of his sets. But in that particular case, a different music manager, I don't know if he managed Aaron at the time or he was just friends with him, but he introduced us. And I think over time, we just like slowly started talking, when he first introduced us, we didn't really make music at first. And then turned out he lived down the street from me in New York. So I pulled up and that was the first time we worked on something. We didn't actually use it, but a bunch of months later, or maybe even a year later, he sent me a song, and then I got on it and then just kept him in mind, You start to keep certain people in mind. Once, that's the way I work, is like similar to how I work with producers. Once I like you, it's like, as a person, you start to keep certain people in mind for certain things.
Yeah. And then you can just keep building that relationship and getting better together, as you said.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
So have you ever done like a feature or had somebody on a song with someone that you didn't really personally know, or was it always build that connection first and then have them on?
I didn't really know Code to the Friend like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think I got linked through him through someone that Aaron, or it might have been the guy who introduced me to Aaron, also linked me with Coda, or like told us about each other. So he followed me, I followed him, and then he hit me up for a feature for NOLA. Yeah, I do this shit all the time, honestly. Like a lot of features I've done, whether it's the Mazday one, whether it's what's the Pickathon song I did with?
Was that Mike Bogan, I think?
Mike Bogan, didn't really know him at the time.
Yeah.
He turned out to be a cool dude when we did meet. But it varies. It's like when people hit me up for features, it's generally people I don't know like that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But when I have people feature on my stuff, I usually know them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just how it works for me, I guess.
That's funny. Like Pickathon was one of the first songs I heard from you. And then like, I remember, this is actually funny because now you have him on the new album, but the first time I heard about you, I was listening to a Hannibal Buress podcast from like years ago, and it was with Jermaine Fowler.
That's funny.
He was on there and he was like talking about you. I was like, okay, this guy sounds dope. And then I went into all your music, and then I've just been listening since. So it was cool. Like I just sent the DM out and then got a response. So it was dope. But that was how I first heard about you.
That's pretty random. Like, because Jermaine found my music on Two Dope Boys, the blog back in the day, and then he just like sent me a message, or no, he tweeted me. He
Oh,
tweeted
really?
me. And then I was like, yo, thanks, fam. Whatever, just like whatever. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh wait, that's the dude from Guy Code. So I responded. I was like, yo, just I thought it'd be I'd put it in my voice because it'd be funny. So I was like, yo, ain't you nigga from Guy Code? And then he just started laughing. And then we became friends off that. And then,
That's crazy because like I mean, back then I didn't really know him, but he's huge now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
No, very, very much so.
Do you want to talk about performing a little bit?
Yeah. So you said on your Instagram, like it might have been today or the other day, that you had performed for the first time in a while. And just like, since our whole thing has been with artists who want to perform, and then the last year no one could really perform, how has it been going back into the live music scene? Because I feel like that's such a huge part of your job, and you just got to miss it for a year and come back.
It was weird because I got to do a verse. Oh fuck, man, we got like crazy. I got to do a verse during Aaron's set that we did on his song, and then it was weird feeling the nerves again, like because even when we were sound checking, I was like, oh fuck, why am I nervous? Oh, this is what this feels like again.
Yeah,
you know, because that feeling never completely goes away, but it was like exciting because I love that feeling of not feeling completely comfortable. And then as soon as I got on stage, I killed it because I was like back in the mind state after we sound checked. But no, it was hard, man. That's my favorite part about music is performing, going on the road. I love touring. I love just being in different cities. And I was supposed to go on tour with Abi, the Nomad, last September. So we would, that whole fall, we would have been on tour. And that would have been coming off This Is Weird, and it just would have been a good promotional moment. You know, shit happens how it happens, can't control it, but I'm just excited. I'm now, after doing that show over the weekend, I'm like looking at little dates and stuff like that, seeing which cities I can hit.
I mean, Seattle.
I was thinking about it.
Seattle, man.
I was thinking about it, definitely.
That would be dope.
And I also just wanted to ask, while we were talking about quarantine a little bit, was it difficult to make music during quarantine? When you said that your favorite part is performing, when you don't really know when you're going to be performing, is it kind of hard to be inspired or like still making music, or was it the same process for you?
I think I probably made more music last year than ever.
Really?
Not necessarily because of quarantine, but because I just moved to LA. And I was just settling in. And I basically cut off everything and was like living in a studio, like actual like small recording studio.
Oh, wow.
Downtown LA. And I was kind of forcing myself to make music at the time anyway. And it just gave me more motivation. Like I stopped drinking for like 3 months. I stopped watching porn for like I was just on some like just I was in a different I was already in that mind. So when things hit, I was kind of cool with it at first. It wasn't until like I ended up getting in a relationship over quarantine. It wasn't until like towards the end of it that I was like, oh man, I'm not inspired.
I wonder, like, it'd be funny, like, if you just saw rappers out there and just made a bunch of rappers stop watching porn. You see if like music just gets angrier and angrier every day.
Yo, dude. Honestly, they'll get enlightened. You know, I think you start watching porn, you start getting enlightened. Like I stopped talking to girls. I stopped like I literally cut off all distractions for the most part. And it was dope. You know, there were days I didn't make music. There were days I made a lot of music, but I was trying a lot of different sounds. I'm kind of approaching like a similar space right now too. So it was cool to see that work, and I'm like, okay, I can tap into that when I need to get things done.
And through that experimentation, I mean, you were on that I think it's Mazday. I don't know how to pronounce the Mazday track, which is, the beat isn't really like a normal rap beat. Through that experimentation over quarantine, were you like experimenting with different genres and like different types of beats and different stuff to rap over?
Well, that song actually made in 2016. It came out then, but we added it to my Spotify because it was supposed to be on there the whole time. But outside of that, yeah, I was experimenting with a lot of singing, a lot of melody, a lot of different types of songwriting, and literally, if anyone sent me a beat pack, I would go through every beat recording something, even if I knew it sucked. I just like forced myself to write to everything.
Yeah.
Do you keep all of that, like all the bad stuff too? Because it's so interesting to see. Like,
Yep,
cool.
I keep it all. I love when people say things like, "Oh man, Khary doesn't drop any bad tracks," which I can debate, but I also have tons of them on my computer.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to just take all of them and release them under a different name.
Yeah.
Just like totally different persona.
That'd be a waste of time. That would be stressful.
It just blows up in Lithuania. Like
Lithuania loves it.
I would hate to know my voice is attached to all that bad music.
Should we get it? Yeah. Where are we at?
We're kind of all over the place.
Yeah. We kind of went off our script a little bit, but not one good question is for like inspiration when you were younger, who I read that Lupe Fiasco was a big one just because he was a rapper that didn't like talk about, I guess, the stereotypical things. Like you mentioned, he was the first rapper you heard that rapped about anime. But who were some other like big artists for you growing up that you saw them and you were like, oh, I could do that?
Lupe, Kanye. It's weird. It's not that I didn't like Pharrell, but I didn't completely appreciate him until I got older.
Yeah.
Who else at the time? I was listening to a lot of Tribe Called Quest. I met this older cat, and he was putting me on to a lot of I said older cat. I don't even talk like that. I met this like older dude. He was putting me on to a lot of old school hip hop from the 90s, late 80s, when I was at a job I had. And then this Chaos, K-OS, rapper from Canada. He was like the biggest rapper from Canada, I would say, aside from until Drake came along.
Yeah. Did he make a song with Drake?
He did make a song with Drake.
Okay. I was wondering if I made that up or if I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, but that dude, like, I think a lot of the music I'm making now going forward, I'm finally reaching around to his influence on my music.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go check him out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Need that Canadian rap.
Don't listen to like Atlantis Hymns for a Disco, I think is the third album he dropped, and then maybe go back from there.
All right. Do you like listen or try to get inspiration from other genres, or because it feels like you do, but that could just be you? But are you listening to other genres of music and trying to pick up off that, or just enjoy it?
At this point, I don't really listen to hip hop like I used to. Rap's kind of boring to me, if I'm being very honest. Just like straight up rap, unless you're adding a different perspective or some type of melody or angle that I haven't heard before. Yeah, I'm only interested in new things, and I think I've been rapping for so long, so I'm at a point where most of the stuff I listen to isn't rap. Like I listen to like Deb Never's last album. I listen to a lot of John Mayer. Even growing up, I always listened to a lot of singing, but I'm at the point where like just rapping doesn't impress me for the sake of rapping. Like rapping fast, I don't care about killing it, filling it flows anymore. I don't care about most of the stuff that's like big. But I listen to a lot of genres for different, especially right now.
Yeah. This is just kind of like off topic question, kind of related, but did you hear Baby Kems' last album, The Melodic?
I did hear Baby Kems' last album.
How did you feel about that? Because that was an album for me where I was like, when he experiments with like harmonies and different styles of rap, I thought that was like kind of pushing it forward in a way. And I wonder if you think the same, or if you were like, I've heard this before.
No, I think I did like this last album. I'm happy. I think tonight he's putting the other singles on it.
Yeah,
I'm happy those are on there because it felt a little hollow. but I liked you could hear like the 808s and heartbreaks influence on there.
Yeah.
And then he has a lot of weird flows that are cool. Like I can get into that. Like he
Yeah.
comes up with his own slang that no one else said.
Yeah.
I like people who can really be something, you know, that's original in their own right. So yeah, no, I really liked Baby Kems. The only thing lacking on that project to me was some of the production was like,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of the I didn't like some of the mixing and the production was like pretty flat. I feel like you could add a little bit more, but most of it was fire to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about one line he said that was funny.
Yeah, he goes, there's the song Vent, he goes, ice cream booger colored piss sub-zero.
Like who says that?
I don't have no clue what that means.
That's what I'm into. I like
yeah. We had the Zoom recording going before you got on, and so we would definitely just have some clips of Charlie just saying that over.
That's fine.
Yeah. I actually wanted to go back. So you worked before, I guess you were making music at the time, but you were an intern at Fader. So I kind of wanted to just ask like what you were, because that's kind of a cool path into music, is to like have this other job where you're working. What were you doing there?
So I was interning in their basically the marketing side of Fader, where they do brand seeding, brand partnerships. They do events and invite people for events. I would work the door for a lot of events for them. I would go to South by Southwest and work events for them. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. It was an interesting experience because I got to see the other side of music. So like we'd be doing like a brand partnership with Puma. And then I'd have to go find the artist to seed stuff to and send free shoes to. And then I have to go check their social medias once they got the package to screenshot that they took it, that they posted on their social media. So we could then send it to a brand. There was a lot of grunt work and just like, simple. I get why I had to do it and I get the purpose of it, but yeah, it was cool. It was weird to see the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything that you found out about the music industry through that internship that you didn't like?
The name of the game was just clout, you know, like,
yeah,
it was kind of stressful and it kind of shook my path off a little bit. I think I granted I needed to intern there, but if I didn't do the intern years, maybe I'd be a little further along as an artist, I would say. But coming from Rhode Island, there was no industry and there was no other way to get this information or meet people.
Yeah.
But I started doing a lot of empty networking, but not making music. So I didn't have anything to really show for it. And I was getting all these contacts. I met tons of big people and stuff like that. And it's easy to get caught up in that, you know, like easy to get caught up in this favor for this favor. I'll trade you this, or really looking out for other people and them not looking out for you, you know? And
Do you think that it helped in any ways too, though, with moving along your career? Maybe like you got a connection with people there.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I wouldn't say like the weight of my experience that I'm talking about that was bad is on like the Fader end. Is more so like doing events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And meeting different people and trying to make a name for myself. But no, there's lots of good. There's still connections, people who work at labels now who know me from that, who work at different things and who look out for me. Because I was just a genuine person back then. So I was just always trying to be good to people, you know?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. I guess just something to ask for the future. I know you've been doing this for over 10 years, so I guess kind of a silly question, but where do you see yourself like 5 years from now? Like, what are your goals, plans, musically or like graphically?
Much bigger than I am. It took me a while to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be and how to go about that properly. I had to learn a lot of things about being a better leader, being a better person. And I think these are things that hindered my progress at certain points. And not knowing how to take rejection at certain ways. Because I did the label meeting thing. I've been flown out. I've had the meetings. I got close to signing at some point, and then just getting ghosted. I was supposed to go on a bunch of tours early on in my career that would have helped me in different things that didn't work out. There's a lot of things that I could sit around and be like, this didn't work for me. I could just pack up my bags and quit. And I never did that. I did get depressed at a point, but I never did that. And I think that process was tough for me, and people ask me why I'm like underrated or where I'm not, like, oh man, he's been dropping music forever. Why is he not this? I went through a lot that I didn't know how to process. And I think I'm better at processing those things now. And I think skill wise, I'm better at it. And I didn't really love the process of making music. I loved everything that came around music, but I didn't fall in love with the process until recently.
Yeah.
And once I've done that, now my music is 10 times better, which you'll see in the coming year. But I'm just way more focused, and I see myself branching in the streetwear a lot more, and maybe even acting in some capacity. But I'm meant to be great. I am great, and I'm meant to be great. And I think I'm at a better point in which I see these things now.
Yeah, I see it happening. I mean, like, as a person, as a fan, like, do you feel that loyalty from fans that you've had from the beginning, or that just like kind of hop on wherever you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I do, and it's it's a gift and a curse, because a lot of that loyalty comes with expectations. There's a lot of, yo man, just go back to making the internship again, or yo man, grow the dreads back, like it comes with expectations. And I love how the community has been, and people still around even after everything I've dropped and gone through behind the scenes, whether you guys can see it or feel it or not. But yeah, I'm grateful to have the community I have. And I'm grateful for the newer perspective I have on how to deal with certain things and how to just approach releasing music, approach being a figure, and approach just being a better person. I think I'm just in a better space.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's cool that you found kind of this direction where everything creatively is just based on you, as opposed to what people expect from you from the outside. So I don't know. It's weird because we've heard other artists say that in that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because I mean, granted, like if I just made Intern Aquarium 3 times, I'd be 10 times bigger than I am already. I just was never into that. I always wanted to make something different. Even when I made that was like an accident, like it was just me expressing myself at the time. I don't know how I made this shit. I can't go back and redo it. But if I'm not pushing shit forward, and if I'm not challenging myself to push beyond what is, there's no point in me doing anything. I'm not interested in repetition.
So when you're working on making something new or working on like a full project, do you go into that like, oh, it's going to be different from my last work in this way? Or does that just kind of come naturally? Like it naturally becomes different as you're making it?
It just happens, dude. Like, especially a new project that's coming up. Literally, I just moved out of New York, went back home to Rhode Island for a couple of months. And in between that time, I was going up to New York to work with Mike Irish. And the first session we made, I was somehow singing these fucking pop ballads. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck. Every session we did, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but whatever. I'm gonna keep working on this. Is weird. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Okay, maybe this could be a project. All right, let's keep making stuff. And it just naturally just kept coming out a certain way. I'm not saying I'm not rapping on the new stuff, but I just follow the feeling. Granted, as much as I do, or like I've been saying, I am experimenting. I like making new shit. I've been learning you do have to tell that story the right way.
Yeah.
I think that's something I was lacking in the past with like going from intern aquarium to just captain, you know, because I thought people would just get it because I get it. I think telling that story the right way is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I also wanted to ask, because you've mentioned that you've been in New York and Providence, Rhode Island, and now you're in LA. Do you think like where you are physically, like the setting you're in, how much does that influence your music?
I think when you feel like you're in a loop, or you feel like you are stuck, you should change something. Doesn't have to be your location, doesn't have to be as drastic as your location, but cut your hair off.
Yeah. Or
Get a new shirt, change your wardrobe, break up with your girlfriend, get a girlfriend. You need to do something different so your life is progressing in some capacity.
yeah.
Pick up a new hobby. But I think for me, it's usually hair and it's usually location when I'm going through a transition. And I think LA right now is just easier. There's way more collaboration in LA than there was in New York. And I think that's why I'm here right now.
Yeah. So is that something you want to prioritize moving forward, like collaboration?
Yeah, I think if I want to get better, I have to work with more people. I didn't like really work with, I didn't have too many features on most of my shit. If you go through the songs outside of This Is Weird,
Yeah.
because I was just holed up in a room just writing shit, you know, because I wasn't comfortable doing sessions with people, you know. I liked
Yeah.
working by myself.
And I mean, I think the collaborations are great. I mean, my favorite song from you is Ugly Remix with Aaron and Tom the Mailman.
Oh
And I
man,
just
it's a
feel
cool.
like both of those features just work so perfectly on that song.
Yeah, no, that was great. It was cool to have Tom, and Tom used to listen to me in high school, so
Really?
Oh
it's like a
wow.
weird full circle moment.
Wow.
I feel like I can definitely hear your influence in his music, because
Yeah, I'm not sure.
he's, a- he's an artist that, like, he's definitely transcended rap a little bit. Like, it is
Mhm.
rap, but it is definitely not rap in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I actually wanted to ask you a question about the song Ugly Remix, because originally that was part of another song. I don't remember. It was like Ugly slash something else.
You'll sleep with someone else.
Yeah, You'll Sleep with Someone Else. What about just the ugly part of that like double track where you like, I need to make this a standalone?
So essentially, the way it became a jointed track in the first place was I was trying to make the track list shorter for This Is Weird. Slash Ugly was like the last song I made for that project. And it's cool as it is, but I was trying to challenge the idea of this, because on that project, you don't have, outside like Mobbing 2 or like Revenge of the Intern, or maybe the first track, whatever. It's There's a lot of bravado on Ugly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to counterbalance that with this feeling of counterbalance the fact of like saying I'm gonna get a new bitch with this sad ass part towards the end. That's like I just like the phrase "you'll sleep with someone else." The acceptance of like this relationship might not be forever, or just counterbalance it. Whether people like the ending or not, but that was the goal. But I always felt like Ugly could be its own track, you know.
Yeah.
And it was the last track I made for the project. So
Yeah.
Yeah. This is we don't have many questions left, but like, so we saw that you made vlogs on YouTube. You've done a lot of stuff, and you even mentioned acting. You have that stuff with Jermaine Fowler. Do you have like a goal outside of music? Because you could do a lot with entertainment, especially with a platform. Like, do
yeah.
you ever feel like you want to go into something else, even if you just stay with music and then do something else? Have you ever felt, I don't know, motivated to go in another direction?
I think now I just came up with this idea now that we're sitting here. I've thought about in different capacities, but I think what I've learned about myself, and it's not even to toot my own horn or anything. I just have a unique perspective on things. And I think I'm pretty good at looking at things objectively and subjectively. And I think the blueprint for where I end up in the world is, I would say, similar to Dave Chappelle. Is that's I want to be able to amplify my voice musically to the point where when I talk, it holds weight.
Yeah.
And when I do things, it holds weight. And when I hop on certain projects, whatever the hell that is, it holds weight. I want to be somewhere between Bill Murray and Dave Chappelle, where Bill Murray, yeah, this guy just does random shit. You see a story where like he partied with some random college kids and then washed their dishes and left. But when Dave talks, you know, it's like everyone listens. And I think that's ultimately where I'd like to be, no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah.
In a position where things I do hold weight. Similar to how Gambino does things. It's like it holds weight when he does things.
Yeah. Because you have like a lot of really good messages. And obviously there's good music that doesn't really have a message, but I felt like you always did. And you always had your perspective, and it was pretty known when you listen to your music. So I've always thought that was cool. And that was my question. You kind of answered it, is just how you build your platform and what you want to do with it. And I think that's such like a cool thing from an artist, is to like build a platform and be able to like expand on that. And actually, I don't know, it could help people or it could just show your perspective. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. I mean, I'm not trying to be a political activist by any means, so that's that's off the list.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any more questions. Thank you so much for being on this.
Hey, thank y'all for wanting to interview me. I go back and forth with the idea of, you don't see a lot of interviews from me because part of me is like, the music should be it, you know, like the music should be how I feel. But it's also cool just thinking back when I first started rapping, I was doing these interviews with colleges and shit like that. And it's thank you guys for letting me do this, because it helps me get back into that mind state I used to have when I first started. So.